Unfortunately, to make way for Villains Land and for the Piston Peak Cars Land, well, something had to go. And in this case, it is the Rivers of America over there at Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World.
Nothing had to go. Stop
I
lying.
don't disagree with you.
Stop lying. They have so much space north of the park and to the west. They could have built both of these things and not touched the pristine area that Walt himself created.
Are you telling me, Culture, that I'm being gaslit? Is
Yes.
That what you're telling me?
Yes.
Goodness
You're being gaslit with like methane and propane and all the pains. There's a lot of pain here.
I could have never, ever anticipated that, Culture. This is absolutely maddening. Well, even more maddening than that is what is happening to our beloved Rivers of America because of all of this, according to the Walt Disney Company. Let's see here from Block Mickey. Breaking, Walt Disney World begins draining Rivers of America ahead of demolition at Magic Kingdom. Following weeks of the water level slowly dipping, likely due to evaporation or perhaps a leak of some sort, Walt Disney World has finally begun draining the Rivers of America proper. As you can see in our photos below, the water level has gone down significantly in a very short period of time, indicating that the Walt Disney Company has finally started to pump the river. The water level is so low that the track is exposed, along with the accumulated muck on the bottom of the concrete riverbed. And you can see a couple of images right here of what that actually looks like. Well, in the time that it took for you with this story and the updates to what's going on with the Rivers of America, well, we have a new update, and this one is provided actually by Walt Disney World News Today. You can see right here, I was already scrolling through it. Walt Disney World News Today. Rivers of America almost completely drained at Magic Kingdom. This by Shannon and Ace, published August 13th, 2025. The Rivers of America at Magic Kingdom is almost fully drained, and some scaffolding has been removed from Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. The water level of Rivers of America has been slowly dropping since July, following the permanent closure of the Liberty Square Riverboat and Tom Sawyer's Island. The Liberty Square Riverboat track is now exposed as part of the river's floor. And so basically, by the time you're seeing this today, I will have anticipated that this river will be completely drained for the last final time. And that is no good. Culture, you started talking about it at the start of this segment right here, but I agree with you that this didn't have to happen. This didn't need to happen, and this shouldn't have happened. That at least some of the river could have been preserved, if not all of it. But now that we're here, do you anticipate this area of the park that you're seeing on screen right now to be in this state for the full 3 years before Piston Peak actually opens? Do you think that they'll at least construct the front half first, maybe prioritize a little bit in order to get, this looking decent? Or is this what we have to see, and maybe even worse, for the next 3 to 4 years?
Well, they don't really seem to care about guest-facing anything stuff. I mean, with the refurbishment and replacement of Splash Mountain with the bayou of bias and bigotry. Tiana's ride. That wasn't beautiful at all the whole time they were working on it. I have very little expectation that they'll care what the guests face at all. I mean, they didn't actually have to drain this yet. The stuff that they have to do on the island is destructive. They didn't have to start with this at all. In fact, there was no reason they had to get rid of it completely. It would have been rather easy to build a cofferdam around the area that you were going to need to work through. So it comes down to the idea that Disney doesn't care anymore. They don't care about anything front facing. They don't even care about eye lines anymore. They're developing things that don't fit in the background in certain areas, and they don't care. And that's just pretty obvious. The island itself is beautiful, but they're going to create an eyesore between there and that island, and while they're destroying the island. Again, none of this had to happen this way. Everything front facing could have been preserved as long as possible, and then they could have rushed to get the front-facing stuff done. There's 1,000 different ways to do it. They've done it better in every other circumstance outside. Well, let me say that accurately. They did this better in the 20 years before this. They were doing this much better, but they don't care anymore. And I mean, that's Iger's attitude about the park is it's just a coin purse, and no more. So I can't say positive. I'm going to go around in circles and just say how stupid this is. I mean, there are thousands of other examples where it was done better. Heck, they did a better job when they were doing the DCA redevelopment for 3.0, right? So,
that was tough. I lived through that, and that was really rough to go through. But I remember when Star Wars Galaxies. That's true. Remember when Star Wars Galaxy's Edge was going in, like you said, culture, they could have cofferdammed it up, because in that case, they actually did. Because so many restaurants and so much actually takes place on that river in terms of ambience, atmosphere, and it really is interwoven within the general atmosphere of that area, New Orleans Square, Frontierland, all of that. It was, I think, important to Disney that at least a portion of the river remain while they were doing so much work with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in the background right there. Now, in that case, they only shortened the river. In this case, they're removing all of it. So I understand that wouldn't necessarily have been feasible for this entire length of this project. But I do think that you could have done a number of things in order to retain at least a portion of this. They didn't actually pursue that. And now we have people coming in the chat right here saying 3 years, are you high? I am not high, Ken Reinhardt. I'm only using that 3-year time scale because, well, that was the scale used for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge when it went into Disneyland. But of course, that was 10 years ago now. So we had to work on a different time scale. And well, people have been quick to point that out, like Jed Ravenwolf, for example. I'm going to say this, it's going to be more like 5 to 6 years, Vash. And, Vash and Culture here from Nicole Williams, 7253. It is going to be more like 6 to 7 years, like Epcot.
Yeah, no, Nicole's right. And look, I mean, just consider it this way. You can now use one of the last recently fully built attractions is the Tron coaster, and that was 7 years of Hades. Just tune up for that, because much like an unwanted Avengers movie, this is going to take as long as it takes, and it will be as bad as it will be. Your expectation for what's happening with Disney right now isn't positive. Yeah, nobody's is.
And we talk, and I know Pro brought up the fact that, hey, look, listen, this isn't going to be done at least until 2029. If they're starting right now and they're probably going to really get going, in 2026 or something like that, well then, I mean, that now brings it towards that 3-year time scale, but even longer if you're talking about the summer of 2029, that's 4 years. I mean, it is very conceivable that this be five years, maybe 6 years, as some people have been pointing out right there. I shiver to think it might be 7 years, but at this point where we are right now, I think 4 years is probably going to be the earliest, realistically, that this Cars Land Piston Peak comes online. And here's the thing, folks. We've been seeing all kinds of promotional videos and art and development on Cars Land Piston Peak itself. We've only gotten one piece of concept work for Villains Land, and now we have surveys for Villains Land right now. That's telling me that Cars Land and Piston Peak and all that's far more developed than Villains Land has ever seen, at least at this point right now. So Villains Land, that's probably way off until 2035, Culture? Probably. I mean, realistically, I think that's where we're at right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be a very old man when all these things are done, and that's fine. But I'm still going to complain if they're terrible. And not only that, I it's my right now, having been alive for ever since 1 year before they opened this park, Magic Kingdom. I can say I've been around its entire lifetime, and it has never been in worse shape.
Yeah,
never. It's never been in worse shape. I got to Florida pretty regular, but my home park was Disneyland. If they were to do this to Disneyland, the locals would revolt in a way.
No way.
That it would be, they would never hear the end of it. They might have riots, to be fair. That's how upset the locals would be.
Yeah.
So, this guy's, look, there has never been worse leadership or creative in the company's history than there is right now. I would even ask for Marty Sklar to come back, despite the fact that he turned into a tool bag the last decade of his career for Disney. But he became the yes man, the guy, the guy that could go, well, what would Walt think? He didn't know jack all about what Walt would think. But you should have been asking that question to Tony Baxter and a couple of the other guys, that had honored it, right? Merritt would have been a better guy to go to. Again, I'm going to keep promoting that guy. But
of course, there's 20 different individuals that would have been better. Unfortunately, it wasn't about skill culture. It was about who can we hire on for the cheapest amount? Maybe they fit some other qualifications that we have outside of just talent.
Hey,
and unfortunately,
and if they fit those qualifications, that was more likely they were going to get hired, despite the fact that they were going to build a Ramada Inn and call it the Poly Tower.
Correct.
So I'm getting sick and tired of the lack of merit that Disney has these days, because it's reflected in the product they're presenting, whether it be a physical product, or a digital product. It almost doesn't matter. It's like when something works and it seems like a breath of fresh air. It's a breath of old air, because they brought somebody back in that cared, like maybe the guy that created Stitch in the first place for a live action film. Sorry, they don't have it anymore. Do you know who's not there? If you're going to do something based on cars and you're going to do that without Lasseter, you're a fool. You're a fool.
I don't disagree. Don't disagree at all. And they're pushing forward with this stuff. I wouldn't have gone with this version of Cars Land for sure if it was going to be for Magic Kingdom. But if you're going to do anything at all, yeah, exactly. It's not Cars Land at all.
They had a chance to do that. Again, when they blew up the whole sorry, guys, I know I rant on this pretty regular, but when they destroyed the idea for the original Star Wars Land edition, the original thing, they removed the opportunity for us to get a duplicate Cars Land in the back corner that wouldn't have blocked off as much space as they did when they rotated the Star Wars Land. Right. So as, not to do, X, Y, or Z, which may have been a little harder for them, but would have been much better for the guests. And maybe you would have ended up with some shade. Good gravy. Anyway.
Well, I had heard the whole plan was move Kathleen Magnum out there, which they did, develop a Cars Land out there and develop it, indoors. And I was like, okay, this all sounds pretty great, but they actually didn't go forward with that. Instead, we got, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
We didn't get a lot of things. Like, there was potential out there for an Up attraction that I think everybody here, if they'd ever seen the Blue Sky on, would lose their mind over. We lost a wonderful Mary Poppins attraction that was supposed to come with the redevelopment of Epcot. That was actually announced in the initial presentation that Disney did. We're going to have this amazing area, for this. You guys didn't even know how incredible that attraction was. You'd have lost your mind. You'd had a talking umbrella in front of you to be your tour guide. They're flying through it. I'm not even going to get it. I'm so mad.
There was a lot of stuff that came out of that 2019 version of the D23 Expo and Culture. I am so glad you bring that up because, in the future, we will bring up what was both brought forward in that 2019 D23 Expo and, what didn't make it out. Very, very interesting stuff, but Rivers of America going away here for Villains Land and Cars Land. Oh, boy.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.